Joining me now, talk about politics. This is going to be a fun race. Eddie Whitlock is joining me. Steady Eddie Whitlock. Well, he's the chairman of Henrico, Republican Party, and all the good stuff. And Eddie Whitlock, a attorney, also ran for state senate in a four-way Republican primary. Remember that the seat that Siobhan Dunavant won, Eddie Whitlock, Bill Janus, Siobhan Dunavant, Vince Haley. That was a fun race. We had a debate. There was a big Eddie Whitlock love fest. All the candidates said, we love Eddie. Then Eddie was like, well, then, if you all love me so much, why don't you all drop out and back me? One of the best lines in there. Eddie, good to have you.
John, great to be here this morning. How are you?
Good. Now, so everybody knows Eddie Whitlock is a candidate for House of Delegates, District 72. You're like, where's that? Okay, well, that's in the Central Virginia, Henrico, Richmond area. And this is for the seat of the retiring Jimmy Massey, who might run for U.S. Senate. So you got all this stuff going on. And Eddie says, look, I'll take a shot. I'd like to go to Richmond, be a House member. So, Eddie, what inspired Eddie Whitlock to run now? You ran for state senate. Why are you going to run for the House?
Well, John, let me first say I'm hoping you're going to come out and predict that I'm going to win, since you are always right, and I will win. So but we'll go on from there. Hey, John, my life has always been about service and leadership, and it's in 5 main categories, and that's why I'm running. And my 5 main categories involve country. I was an Army National Guard officer for 13 years, company commander, combat engineer, captain, proudly served my country. I've also served my community by a leader in various charitable organizations. I also coached 50 teams for children, leader in the Scouts and other organizations, leader in my church. I did 2 building campaigns and involved in other ministry. Leader in my profession. I was president of the Henrico County Bar Association, the Virginia State Creditor Bar Association, and did some leadership roles for the Virginia State Bar. And then finally, with the party. I've been involved in many years, and most recently, I'm the chair of the Henrico County Republican Committee. And as you remember, John, Henrico was splintered. We had all kinds of animosity from different groups within that party. I ran a little over a year ago to unite the party, and we've done that. And the person who ran against me was one of the first ones who came out and endorsed me to run for House of Delegates. And I'm very proud of what Henrico has done. And we're walking lockstep to beat the Democrats, and I think we're a model for the rest of the state. I want to take those skills and bring those to the Virginia General Assembly, the leadership and the bridge building.
Okay, Eddie Whitlock on fire today. Eddie, that was a pretty good opening. So tell me what I know you came like the GOP committee chair of Henrico, right?
That's correct.
And that's a kind of a crazy Republican county, right? Because everybody's always fighting in there. There's always like factions and stuff.
There aren't anymore. If you talk to
now, is that where Ron?
Meeting,
wait a
second.
second.
Talk to our people. We're united.
Is that where Ron Hedlund is from? He's from Henrico.
He is.
Right?
He's from Henrico.
So how did you get the Hedlund faction and everybody? How'd you get them to all together? Because you know how Ron is. I mean, Ron is Ron, right? He doesn't back down. He's Ron. So how did you get the Ron Hedlund faction and everybody else to kind of get along?
Well, it was pretty simple, John. I actually did what I promised. I told people that I was going to unite people, and we did this with transparency and with inclusion. You talk about Ron Hedlund, and he vehemently ran. He helped the person who ran against me. I called him the very next morning, and I said, "Peace, work together," and he said, "Absolutely," because I respect you. And we opened up 11 subcommittees in that Henrico County Republican Committee, everything from an audit committee to the Young Republicans. I don't have a Z, but I've got an A to Y. And we invited anyone who wanted to be involved to come involved. And so we've got everyone that's asked on a subcommittee, actively involved in planning, working together. And over the last year, when people realized that there were no secrets, there were no backroom deals, it was totally transparent, and everyone helped, we pulled together. We had our first major fundraiser ever. We had a Reagan dinner a month or so ago. We had a pipe dream that we could bring in 100 people. We had a pipe dream we could raise up to 10,000. We had all fractions of parties there, and we had 143 people and raised almost $12,000.
Wow, that's pretty good.
And the event workers were people from the quote-unquote old establishment working hand-in-hand with the leaders of the Henrico County Tea Party.
Wow. Okay, that's very impressive. Very impressive. Eddie Whitlock, no question about it. Very impressive. So you've got like subcommittees and young Republicans. Like I live in Chesapeake. This is a pretty Republican town, right? All the Republicans win. I don't think we have any subcommittees. I don't think we have a young Republicans. I'm 59. I'm like the baby.
Well,
take you to
the
Chesapeake.
only way we're going to continue to grow our party is to be inclusive. Reagan talked about 80% friends. In this part of Virginia, we're more like 95% friends. So why in the world are we beating each other up over that 5% when we're letting those people who we disagree with 95% of the time get past us and get a bye? Henrico County, the western part of Richmond, and it kind of circles around to the north side as well. Henrico County is one of those counties in Virginia which is near purple. We've got parts that are very conservative, and we have parts that vote Democrat. And together, it is a very close 50-50 district. And so we've learned the only way we're going to win is by expanding the party and taking the message that we all agree on, free enterprise, lower taxes, limited government, people power, bringing those to the people of Henrico, and in convincing them that we're the party that will deliver those messages.
All right, so Eddie, what are the elected officials that you have in Henrico now? You've got the sheriff, right?
Well, yeah, we've got Senator Donovan. We have Delegate Massey, who's retiring, of course. That's where I'm running. Mm-hmm. We've got Delegate John O'Bannon from the House. He's a great gentleman. Delegate Peter Farrell's retiring. We've got Sheriff Mike Wade. We've got our Clerk of Court. We've got Board of Supervisors members. And you will see that a large portion of those have already endorsed me, and none are going to endorse my opponent. Some might remain neutral, but I have the support of all. Okay. And I have support of the Henrico County Tea Party leadership, and I have support of the rank and file and almost every single officer on my committee. Some, again, want to remain neutral because my opponent is one of my officers. He's one of my leaders. We're friends. It will not be a nasty race. John, you saw how I ran a couple of years ago. It's going to be an above-board friendly race.
No, you ran a very nice race. There was nothing negative. You wouldn't say anything negative. I mean, you did what you wanted to do. Very impressive race. And I got to tell this to my audience. I got to engage with you. Obviously, we did the debate. That was a lot of fun. And you were very gracious in that. But you were on my show many times, and I saw you at a number of events. One time we had breakfast. I remember that. But, I mean, I got to tell my audience, Eddie Whitlock's one of the nicest guys in this whole world you're ever going to meet. He is who he is. There's no airs. He's just Eddie. And so everything you're saying is 100% accurate. You didn't go negative either, did your campaign manager. And you didn't get the results that you wanted, but you got your name out there, right?
Well, yeah, you are where you are today because of where you've been. And, people had to see me in a different light. They knew me as the community leader. They didn't know me as a candidate. And it was a four-way race. It didn't work out for me at that time. But, because of that, people had confidence in me to be their chairman. And because of what we've done as chair, people have confidence in me to be a member of the House of Delegates. And I'm excited about that, and I'm extremely proud of what we've done in Henrico.
So what did you learn if you go back to your Senate race in 2015 where you came, there were 4 candidates, you came in last. What was the one thing you said that you learned from that you're not going to do in this race, Eddie Whitlock?
Well, I was the man without a country. Without getting into specifics, when I got into that race, there were 3 other candidates. Well, there was only 2 at the time. There turned out to be 3 other candidates, and they each had a fraction of the party. And I was basically the one that had some bridges amongst all the parties. But I could not get enough votes. I was everybody's second choice. I could not get enough votes to win that election. And so I said, you know what? I'm never going to run as a man without a country again. But we took that fractured committee and made a unity committee. And now I'm the choice of all. And so that's a bit of beauty. And, if we hadn't have gotten to where we are, I wouldn't be doing this. But my best spokesmen are the members of my committee. My best spokesman right now is the one who ran against me for chairman. And that's Jim Herring. Great guy. We immediately locked arms and walked in together, and I didn't even have to ask him. The evening Jimmy Massey decided he was not going to run, and I announced that I was running. Without even asking him, he had a post up there endorsing me.
Well, that's nice, Ed. So if you get to Richmond, Eddie Whitlock, what's your number one objective?
Well, John, the Whitlock test. We'll go back there, and those of your audience that don't recall that, I believe in limited government, I believe in citizen leaders, and I believe that the government should only fund those things which are core functions of government. So Jimmy was very good, tight on finances, and he was very good on school choice. Those are my major issues. But the Whitlock test is this. In order to fund a program, you need to make sure that is a core function of government. And it has to be a core function of government that government can do better than private industry, because if private industry can do it better, we're going to go there. And on the third prong of the Whitlock test, we need to make sure that there's no automatic funding, that you review that funding every year to make sure that it's the limited amount necessary to accomplish that task. John, if we limit our government spending, we will then grow our economy. We will limit the size of government. It will be a business-friendly economy, and Virginia will continue to grow. Virginia in the past has been one of the best economies in the country and one of the leaders. It slipped under Democratic governors. We're going to bring that back. Henrico County is also a leader. It's got one of the best-run government systems in the country for years on end, triple bond rating, and it's because of fiscal responsibility. That's what I'll take.
So let me ask you this, Eddie Whitlock. You get back there. Many of us, well, some of us like me, are very disappointed in the whole Republican Ryan Care thing, where they continued to fund Medicaid expansion. I'm taking the position now, this thing is going to get funded no matter what. The hospitals have said they'll pick up the 10% gap. You're not going to stop it. Everybody else is getting the money. Why doesn't Virginia just take the money from the federal government with no risk? Everybody else is, and the Republicans have already showed us they're not going to stop it in Congress. So who cares?
Well, I'm not convinced that fight's over yet. I am very disappointed that we are where we are, and to be the party out of power for 8 years and to come in and not be able to clearly walk together and pass our legislation is extremely disappointing to me. And, those are some of the skills that I have as an attorney. I solve people's problems every day. I bring people together. We find solutions to problems. And I would like to believe that I can do that in the House of Delegates and help bring my fellow delegates together to help work and pass conservative legislation. For the fact that we couldn't do this in Congress, very disappointing. As far as your question about taking the money, no. We need to return to the best health care system in the world that we gave away in a free market economy. We can make that again, and our legislation can still come together and pass that. I'm not giving up.
I don't know. I want the money. I'm tired of losing. I'm so upset over this thing because it's like we fought so hard for so long to resist Medicaid expansion, and we stood on principle, and then we got kicked in the teeth by the establishment Republicans in Washington, and we're punished for it. And it's like, now I just want to take the money, and that's it, because I'm so mad at it.
That's what they want you to do, John. They want you to take the money, but you know that dollar they give you today is going to cost you $15 or $20 later. It grows and grows and grows to the point where you can't afford to fund that program.
I don't know, Eddie.
It's a short-term gain, long-term loss.
You know what? We got kicked in the head by the Paul Ryan Republicans up there, and it had the Ryan Care bill passed, Virginia's Medicaid reimbursement situation would have been worse for doing the right thing. I mean, you talk about sending the wrong message. There it is right there. Hey, we're out of time. I want to thank Eddie Whitlock for being with us. Eddie, I'm glad you're in the race, and we're going to continue to follow your campaign, and I enjoyed covering you in the 2015 Senate race, and I'm sure we'll get your opponent on and all that stuff. We'll have a good dialogue, but I look forward to it. I'm glad you're running for the seat. I think you're going to be an asset, and people want to follow you. Have you got a website up or anything?
The website is still coming, but you can get me at Twitter, and you can certainly get me on my Facebook. The best places to go is to get the Friends of Eddie Whitlock page, Friends of Eddie Whitlock, and from there you can get to Twitter, and you'll get to the Facebook page in the next couple of days.
Who's your campaign manager?
Campaign manager, I am waiting for him to accept. He's coming off working statewide races, and he's supposed to give me an acceptance this morning. Don't want to use his name. Wouldn't be fair. I've worked with him before. You know him. He's a good man.
Okay.
But he's having to finish up some other responsibilities, and certainly I've got the rest of my team together, and we're working, and got a lot of help from a lot of members of Henrico.
Maybe it's going to be Zach Worrell, right? That's my prediction, just based on what you said.
John, we'll have to leave it. I can't
Zach's,
go.
If it is Zach, Zach's a great guy.
I can't go anywhere.
You don't have to go anywhere. I'm just saying, just based on what you said, I think it's going to be Zach. And Zach, if you're out there, accept the offer and get to work, man. Eddie, thanks. We're out of time.